Ahoy everyone, welcome back to another video where we're reviewing the released Spiritforged cards. In this bit we're going through the calm cards, so the green ones, and if you haven't seen one of these before, what we do is we give each one a rating A, B or C. A is for the cards that are powerhouses in the format, the staples, the build-arounds that we're going to see a lot of. B is for the kind of good cards that are filler a little bit. You'll see them in some decks. They play a role, but inherently they're not really special. They're just kind of like a fill card for your 40. And C is borderline unplayable. We're going to do this through the focus of a constructed 1v1 lens, and this is just my initial impressions of where all the cards fall. We'll come back in a few weeks after set release and there's been a bit more play to reevaluate how far we were off the mark in our initial impressions. So let's get into it. We've got a lot of cards to get through, so we'll try and smash through them quickly. The first one is Desert's Call. 2 energy, repeat 2, play a 2 sand soldier unit token. Now, no action, no reaction. This is a slow spell card, but it is flexible in that we can use it on turn 2 or turn 1 or turn 2 to play 1 or 2 sand soldier unit tokens. So any card that has flexibility being playable on turn 1 or turn 2, both on the play and on the draw, or going first, going second, is going to see some play. I don't think it's overly powerful, but for the go wide strategies like Azir, this is going to see a lot of play. I'm going to give it a B plus even. It's just a filler card. Again, nothing special, but definitely strong enough to make it into a lot of decks. Next card, Disarming Rake. 3 energy, 1 power. When you play me, kill a gear. This is going to see some play. It may be relegated to a sideboard card. We're paying kind of 5 energy equivalent, or 3 plus 2 for each power for a 2 might unit, and if it has no targets, it's going to be a massive waste of resources. So if every single deck in the format is going to have gear in it, this may become a main board card, but otherwise I see it relegated to the sideboard, and it will be a B to B minus card. I think there's some better ways of dealing with gear in the format, so B to B minus on this one. Doran's Shield, 1 energy equip for +1 might and tank. This card is quietly underpowered, I think. 1 might for the investment of 1 and an energy is not that good, but the reusability is part of the benefit of this. I think it's going to see play in decks like Ornn, but outside of Ornn, probably not. Maybe Azir as well, because Azir just wants lots of cheap equipment. So nothing special again on this. I think the tank is quite useful in weird combat situations where you can go in with a large unit and equip this to a little token, sand soldier token or otherwise, and make the trades unfavorable to them because they have to kill the little unit first because of tank. But overall, I think this is kind of like a B minus card, but you will see it in some decks, especially the ones that have to build around equipment. Feral Strength, 2 energy, +2 reaction, repeat 2. This card is discipline-esque with a bit of flexibility. You don't get the draw, but you get to potentially go to +4 and even spread that out over multiple units. These type of effects will see play in the kind of president strategy archetypes, as well as Irelia dex reward, multiple targeting and readying units and all that kind of stuff. So again, I think we'll see this card popping up in a few decks, but again, not a powerhouse. So I'm going to be straight down the middle with a lot of these, unless they jump out as being super powerful. So give this one a B as well. Guardian of the Passage, 6 for 6. When I hold, you may return a unit or gear from your trash to your hand. The rate is okay on this. 6 for 6 isn't bad. when it holds, you can get a gear back. Look, I don't think playing a generic vanilla unit like this is going to stick around very long. As soon as you go into a battlefield, it's either going to get contested or removed. So the upside of the ability, it's there, but it's not something you can reliably trigger, I don't think. And because of that, you really want to be playing something more impactful in this slot, in this 6th slot. So I'm going to give this a C. It's going to be mostly unplayable. You really want to be playing something that kind of gives you more of an advantage in this on your third and fourth turn. Lonely Poro, 2 for a 2. When it dies, draw a card. I think this one's potentially considered the A tier, A minus. It's just a cantrip 2-might unit. I mean, there's not much else to say. It's good value. It's going to see play in what sorts of decks? So, on any of the there's some kind of protect the camel or the ruin runner type decks getting around. This is an ideal like turn 1, turn 2 with an equipment play type card. So it really just fills out the early turns while you're trying to get to your final strategy. And I think any of the decks that kind of don't want to invest too much in the first couple turns, but just want a unit for a point and recycle, or not recycle, but cycle it to get a card, is going to want to play this this 2-drop. So I think this one, it's not a powerhouse, but it will be in. It's going to be one of the premium fillers for those type of presidential decks. Navori Scout, 4 for 4 with deflect. On rate, deflect isn't valued very highly. I think it's valued at like half an energy, according to my like recent calcs. So this will be 4.5 with the deflect might for 4 energy, and on rate, nothing special. Comes in at a common, may fill a hole in certain decks, but I think the way I see the format shaking out is that there's going to be less spells that are like damage based spells and more hard removal, like you know, more cold weeks, hidden blades, things like that, bounce effects that just remove a unit outright because of the prevalence of equipment is going to make the damage kind of less impactful. And because of that, the volume of direct targeting spells is going to go down in the format. I think it's going to be a lot more combat based with offensive tricks like blood rush, equipment, cleave, that kind of thing, and the deflect is going to get devalued somewhat. So yeah, I don't think that this one's going to see much play. It's an okay card in terms of rate, so we'll give it a B minus. Ribbon Dancer, 3 energy, 3 might. When I move to a battlefield, give another friendly unit +1 this turn. Again, on rate, just fine card. I mean, it's nothing special. I don't know if there's any decks that are going to be wanting to play this. Potentially some Irelia shenanigans if you can get some free Irelia triggers off this. But outside of that, I don't know. Because the card pool's going up with this set and there's more and more cards to choose from, you really want every slot in your list to be impactful if possible. And this isn't doing it. Like, I'd much prefer things like Weapon Master or Ready a Unit or, you know, something like that, other than just a 1 might, because it'll be highly situational and there'll be many times where you just play this on your first turn, going second, doesn't do anything, and pass, which is fine. I mean, it's a fine turn 1 play, but again, more if possible, please. So we'll give this a B minus. Royal Entourage, when you play me, ready or exhaust a legend. I don't think there's any legends out there that it's worth paying an extra point of energy equivalent over and above the rate for this card. I mean, potentially Ornn, but you know, Ornn's fine on resource as it is. So the idea that you can exhaust their legend is kind of cool, but I don't know what sort of upside that is. It's going to be on when you play this on your turn. So potentially in future sets, if there's some trickery legends that you want to play this on your turn to nullify what they can do on theirs, or nullify what they can do with their legend before you go into combat or something, that might be cool. But no, it's too narrow, too niche at the moment. So we'll give that a C. I don't think this one's playable at all. Thwonk, 2 energy, action, stun an attacking unit, and repeat 2. I think this is actually quite strong. We know that like Facebreaker and any of those kind of stun effects like Rune Prisons see play in a lot of the green decks. This one is kind of no different, and the flexibility that it has to repeat is good. Typically you want to use this as a defensive spell, so you stun them when they come in, and they just bounce off and return to base. And being able to stun 2 units in a combat can make it a lot harder for your opponent. So this is definitely going to see some play. B+ for this one. The downside of it is obviously you can't stun defending units when you're on offense and trying to take a battlefield. But yeah, because of the prevalence of the President strategies and stuff that are coming out with, you know, Camel and Irelia and Ornn and things like that, this is going to be really good as a defensive card. So let's give this. It's in the B+ A-. I think we're going to see quite a lot of it. Any of the presidential strategies might want to run 1 or 2 of these, even if it's in sideboard. So let's go B+. It's not format warping, but very strong. Apprentice Smith, 2 energy, 2 might. When I move, reveal the top card of your main deck. If it's a gear, draw it. Otherwise, recycle it. Potentially a draw engine on a stick if you're playing a high percentage of gear, which would be something like Azir or Ornn. So I think it's going to be a staple in probably those 2 archetypes at least. There also might be some cool interactions where you can use it in something like a Nocturne based deck or some Rek'Sai type hybrid. Like, I know it's not Rek'Sai colors, but the yellow cards for reveal of Rek'Sai, like the big worm thing that gives you mana. Don't know, but there's a lot of, with cards like this, there's a lot of future upside, right? Even if the format right now doesn't support it, I think in the format right now, I'm going to give this a B+. Not format warping, but very, very strong staple in those Azir and Ornn archetypes. But future formats, when the next few sets come out, this only has upside to go. So it'll probably move up into an A. If you get your foil copies now, pretty much is what I'm saying. All right, brutalizers next. 2 energy. For a +1, it's a +3 might if you've attached this turn. The way you want to be using this type of card is to go in with a token with brutalizer on it, trade out the some 3 might thing, have it fall off, re-equip, go in on the next token, and so on and so forth, maximizing the value of the +2 might per turn. So you're sending in 3 at a time, or if it's a Sand Soldier token, it's 4. Oh, sorry, 2 + 1, 2, 3. It's a 5 might every time. Yeah, in terms of rate, it's not anything special. So 2 energy, 1 power for +3 on that turn is kind of slightly below rate, but and then re-equipping for 1 is below rate as well. So to maximize the value of this card, you really need to get this kind of +2 might per turn, which means that you can't just leave it on a unit at +1. And that leads me to think that it's more Sand Soldier oriented in its design, because that's something you want to be sending in, trading, getting it back. You know, you play an equipment, use Azir to make a sand soldier, weapon master, either this or the thing you've just played, and or equip and go with both, and then go in. So yeah, this is a Azir archetype special, and I'm going to give it a B. It's nothing special, but I think it will find its place in Azir decks. All right, let's keep moving. So Emperor's Divide is next. 2 energy, hidden card. Move any number of friendly units at a battlefield to their base. It's kind of like a flash. I think, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think with the hidden, it works the same way as the other hiddens, where you can't you can't choose friendly units at the opposing battlefield. Not the opposing battlefield, the other battlefield. So it has to target here if you hide it. But essentially, it's a green single battlefield flash if you play it hidden, and if you don't, it's a multi battlefield flash. No, it's not. It's at a battlefield, single battlefield. Sorry, I misread. Less powerful than flash, but you can hide it, which is kind of cool. I don't know if we'll see play with this. The green strategies aren't as aggressive as like the Annie archetypes that make use of flash really well. And one of the upsides for Annie is that you get to untap 2 runes and play it for free, essentially, to protect your units. This one, you can kind of play it for free, but you have to hide it to do that. It's hard to evaluate these. I think I'm going to undervalue it, and it might be more powerful than what I think. So I'm going to say it's a B-, but it might turn out to be kind of like a B level card, and you will see this in some decks to protect their the big units and or the presidents that they're playing. So I'll go with B-, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be proven wrong, and this is going to be a bit stronger than that. All right, next up, Legion Quartermaster. 3 energy, 4 might. As an additional cost to play me, you return a friendly gear to its owner's hand. I mean, the best case scenario for this is something like returning a seal so that you can play it again for free. There are other cards like the Poro snacks. Did we get to that? This one here, when you play it, draw 1. So there are some like synergies / combos that you can piece together to get extra value out of that, but outside of that, I think it's a little bit too narrow. If you are going second and this is like your turn 1 play and you do not have a gear, this becomes like just a brick in your hand that is kind of useless. And I tend to look negatively on cards that have like a precondition that can brick up or block my deck progression when I'm playing a game. So I'm going to give this C. I don't think it's going to see much play unless there's some new cards that come out that kind of build around it. So let's go with C on this one. Not so fast. 2 energy, 1 power, counter an enemy spell or ability that chooses a friendly unit or gear. So this is a kind of a niche card in that it's like narrower than Windwall, obviously, and it's a little bit cheaper costed. So it's narrower because it has to choose a friendly unit or a gear on our side, and it won't stop things, you know, like just random wipes or stratagem or you know, any other big spell that doesn't directly point to one of our units or gear. So it is a lot narrower. Because of that, it is cheaper. The upside of it that makes it unique is that there's nothing so far that allows us to counter an ability except for this card. So, you know, we're not seeing things like kind of a Snapvine or anything being played, but theoretically this could like counter a Snapvine ability or triggered ability that comes from a unit. And similarly, like any kind of unit-based or gear-based targeted effects on our stuff, like activated abilities, we can counter with this. And because of its uniqueness, if there is something that dominates the format that is really difficult to deal with, so let's say Caitlyn, for example, starts dominating the format. I don't know why it would, but let's say it does. And we have no way to kind of protect our units from a Caitlyn ability, that this would be something that could potentially fill that spot to like buy a turn or something. So I'm going to say that this is a B minus, maybe even a B. It's an okay counterspell, an okay tempo generator, but the fact that it has like a unique effect in the game is going to mean that the upside of it is there. Like the next couple sets we'll probably see stocks of this go up as they print more effects that can be countered by this, unless they print a strictly bev version of this, which will just replace it. So yeah, anyway, B minus on this card. Definitely see some play. Don't think it's that strong. Poro Snacks. When you play this, draw 1 or kill this, draw 1. Kind of like the green version of the treasure shenanigans, treasure trove pack shenanigans. I don't particularly like these cards unless we can get kind of value from an engine of it fast, because the investment in terms of playing 1 and a green. I know Ornn's green, so you can cheat this out for just 1. To draw a card is basically cycling card for 0 game impact, and then being able to kill it later to draw 1 is like kind of like 2 turns of using your Ornn and an energy just to draw a card, which is, in this type of game, card advantage isn't as strong as other card games, and you know, and yeah, I'll just leave it there. I don't think it's very strong as it is until we can get something that can play this multiple times a turn for free, and we can get lots more value out of it than just an extra card. All right. So C, I think, not playable. Simeon Ancestor, 5 energy, 1 power for a 5 might. When you buff me, ready me. Again, kind of too narrow. We're looking at 5 for 5 is on rate, but 5 and a power for 5 is well below rate, and it's kind of got a niche ability that you're not reliably triggering, unless it's in like something like Lee Sin, and then you've got a way to spend buffs and re-ready it and all that kind of stuff. So let's go with a C on this one as well. I don't think we'll see much play of this in the current format. Stellacorn Herder, when I move, draw 1. 4 for a 3, slightly under might rated. You need to really get 1 or 2, preferably 2+ moves to get your value back. If we're evaluating 1 card as kind of 1.5 energy, that's where it sits. And maybe this sees play in something like Yasuo deck, where you can move things around, move in there, move Yasuo back and draw, Tide Turner shenanigans, that kind of thing. But you know, yeah, I kind of don't see it spending resources and moving stuff around just to get a couple of extra draw cards. Works well in a late stalled out game, but in an early kind of first few turns where you need to be making your presence known on the board, it's underrated. It's under the rate that I want to be paying. So I'm going to give this one a B minus. We might see it in some Ornn decks with Spellsonger and all that kind of weird stuff going on, but no, it doesn't do it for me. Aphelios, 4 energy and a power for 4 might. A few different abilities here. When you attach equipment, you can ready 2 runes, channel a rune, or buff a friendly unit. This is kind of cool in that if you can play it and equip it in the same turn, you can ready 2 runes and you know, use that for something else. I don't think that I played around with it a little bit in an Ornn deck and Spellsonger and stuff like that, and it just I'd much rather have something else in this slot than messing around with runes and buffing. Not to say that it's can't be good. It's kind of like Udyr in that you're sinking a bunch of energy and power for might. It doesn't really impact the board state straight away. If you equip and you channel a rune, you pay for itself, but then you're just paying a 4 for a 4. There's lots of other kind of units that sit at that rate. Maybe Aphelios will come out with a really cool legend in the next sets, and this will be his champ unit. I don't know, but yeah, underwhelming from the initial impressions that I've had playing with this card, and so I'm going to give it a B-. Azir, green Azir, 6 energy and a power for a 6 might, and action, kind of tide turner effect, where you can choose a unit and switch places with it essentially. You can also attach one of the equipment that's on it to Azir and use it only once per turn. The cool thing about this being an action is that it's kind of got pseudo accelerate, in that you can play it, move in with a unit like just a 2-drop or something like that, and then switch places with Azir as an action in combat. Because of that, it's quite powerful. Any kind of accelerate type stuff out of the champ zone is just generally strong. I don't know whether or not that it's better than the yellow Azir. I think a lot of the people that I've been talking to are preferring yellow Azir over green, but they still acknowledge that the green one is quite strong and may have a place depending on how you build your deck. So I'm going to give this a B. It may move up depending on how the meta shakes out and how we evaluate the yellow Azir versus this for the champ zone of the Azir deck. Next up, GA, Guardian Angel, 2 energy for an equip, 1/+1 might. If I would die, I kill Guardian Angel instead. Same effect as Zhonya's, but it's tied to the unit that you equip to. Pretty much going to be a staple in Azir and Ornn. B+ on this card. Is not overly powerful, but it is required for the presidential strategies in Camel, Ornn, Irelia, even like Jax decks and stuff are going to play it as well if they become strong. So we're going to see this everywhere. This is going to be a staple in the format. So it's a B+, A-. I don't really want to give it an A because the power level's not there, but I think it's going to be so prevalent that it's an auto include. So we're going to have to kind of say that it's everywhere in the format and give it an A-. All right, Heart of Dark Ice, 3 energy, 1 power, gear, give a unit +3 this turn. The archetype that I see this being strong in is something like accelerating units out and giving it +3 and just sending things in one at a time. We don't have an archetype like that yet. It kind of lends itself to Fury Calm, so like some red-green stomping kind of accelerate archetype, which we don't have yet. I don't think this is going to see much play because of the other cards in the format, like Sterak's Gauge, which we'll get to in a second. So on rate, like this is 3 and a power to give a unit +3 on offense when it goes in, because you can only use this on your turn. Whereas Sterak's, you're investing another power for the quick draw version of this, but then it's also hangs around on defense and can make a big difference on the defense side as well. Yes, you have to pay an equip if it dies to reactivate it, whereas this one you can just keep tapping it. But yeah, they're very comparable, and I think I'd take the Sterak's Gauge as a combat trick over the Heart of the Dark Ice, which is slow speed any day. So I'm going to give the Heart of Dark Ice a C. We're not going to see much of that until a different type of aggro deck comes out where we can make use of this. Next up, Janna, 3 energy, 1 power, for 3 might reaction unit. So these are like pseudo combat trick units where like Shan and Rengar and that they're always like slightly stronger than just the normal units because of the reaction keyword and can surprise and blow out different combats. The ability when you play me, heal your units here and then move an enemy unit from here to its base. It's the move an enemy unit from here to its base is the strongest part of this ability when you play it. The healing part is, at the moment, in my opinion, it's not going to be as strong because, as I've said before, we're moving towards an equipment augmented meta, where a lot of the combat tricks are going to hit the board. And when I say combat tricks, I mean like equipping units and before moving into combat and just trying to win on stats and numbers. Because of that, the damage type spells get like reduced in value, things like Void Seeker and stuff. So there's not really going to be any types of combats where they're Void Seekering one of your guys on a battlefield and then moving in to kill it. That's going to be a lot less common occurrence. And so getting the value out of playing as Janna and then healing the 4 damage from the Void Seeker is not really going to be a thing just yet. And because of that, I think the whole last part of the ability, all we're going to be focusing on is then move an enemy unit from here to its base, push something back, gain a bit of tempo. You want to use this on the things where they move in with a massive unit versus your little 2-drop and keep them off a point. And because of that, this is definitely a tempo card and will find its way into some tempo type decks. Like, I don't know if Ahri's going to be a deck in this this format, but I think it might find its home in something like Ahri if it does become strong. So in isolation, this card's quite strong. I'm going to give it a B+. But it just needs a home. It needs a good home, and I don't think I've seen a good home for this just yet. Let me know in the comments if you know a good home for Janna. All right, Green Jax. 5 energy, 1 power, deflect 1. Each equipment in your hand has quick draw, gains reaction, and attaches for a 5 might unit. Question's going to be, is this better than the other Jax for the Jax Champ Zone deck? And I don't think the answer is going to be yes. I think it's going to be a no. So because of that, I'm paying 1 power, like 5 energy for 5 mites, the base rate. 1 power for this ability of giving your equipment's quick draw, turning every equipment in your hand into a combat trick, essentially. Things like Spellsonger and Doran's Shield and all that kind of stuff can be quite strong. I think we might need some more equipment to maximize the value of this. So I don't think this is going to see much play if it's competing for the other Jax CC, and I'm going to give this a B-. Next up, same Jax alt art. We'll skip over that. Needlessly large Yordle. This card is, on first impression, it's pure garbage. Look at this cost. It's got a cost reduction in it. I cost 2 and a power less for each point you scored from holding this turn. Even if you score both battlefields from holding, that makes it a 6 and 1 for a 5 might unit. That itself is even still way above what you want to be paying for a 5 might unit. Okay, it's got tank. Let's say give it half an energy point for that, and the other part of it is shield 5, like while to defender only. Now that doesn't really change much. when I see these kind of gimmicky cards like this, the first thing is like they've got to find a home in some sort of combo type deck. So something that looks at the cost of the card, something like I know again I know there's no Fury Calm kind of legends out there, but you know, the Get Excited or something like that where you can blow something up for 10 by discarding this. Cards like that where you're looking at the power cost to do something, that's where these kind of cards fit in. Something else you could consider is like hook. If you're playing some sort of like hook Azir or something like that, you can hook to a 5 might off a 4 might creature and get a 10 on defense, which could be strong, but you know, this shield 5, it doesn't mean that it's a 10. It's still a 5. Like, it still dies to things like, you know, Comet or things that can deal like a damage in -4, like the Frost Touch and that kind of thing. So it's not as resilient as a 10 might unit. I'd much prefer like a 7 or an 8 might unit and just scrap the shield 5. That would be a much more appealing card. But it's not. So pure garbage. C. This goes in the bin. Let's see if someone can make some combos out of it though. But as of now, I don't even want to touch this card. It's rubbish. But then contrastingly, Sterak's is an awesome card. This is going to be a A-. We're going to see, it's not overly powerful, but we're going to see a lot of it, especially in Ornn, especially in maybe a 1 or 2 of in Azir. Azir typically wants the cheaper gear, but it's still a decent top-end gear. Quick draw +3 is massive. The 3 is really good for combats at the moment. There's a lot of +2 effects and -2 effects, and the 3 kind of breaks the mold and can get you over like the top of, you know, like if you go in with an equal trade, it gets you over the top of discipline and wins the combat, things like that. So I don't really know what else to say about this. It's just solid. It fits in Ornn, it fits in Azir, it fits in a bunch of other green decks as a defensive card. Various quantities of them, anywhere from like 1 to all 3. Yeah, just solid. Irelia, Fervent, green Irelia, 5 for 4. Now we note that this has no power costs, so it is 1 costed over base rate. For that you get deflect, and when you choose Already Me, give me +1 this turn. So note that this ready triggers on in your beginning phase when you start your turn, so you can play this. It's exhausted when your opponent passes back. It readies at the start of your turn and will trigger then, so it'll be a 5 for a 5 on offense going in. It'll be a 4 on defense. So it's close to rate. The key upside for this card is that obviously the synergy with the Aurelia Legend and being able to ready it multiple times and choose it multiple times and make it really big, really fast. The question's going to be, is it this card or the purple Aurelia in the champ zone for Aurelia decks? And I've seen play with both. Initially, we thought this one was going to be the best, but the purple one is also like quite strong. And I think if you took my opinion as of today, the purple one is slightly stronger than this one, just because of the energy reduction that it gives, and being able to play things like On Guard for free and Discipline for 1 is just nuts. So may see play. I'm going to give it a B-, and I'm going to give the other Aurelia a B+ when we get to that in the purple. Aurelia alt art, green Ornn, 5 energy for 5 might, 1 power cost. When you play me or when I hold, look at the top 4 cards of your main deck. You may reveal gear from amongst them and draw it and recycle the rest. So this is like that little 2-drop on steroids. Instead of going 1 deep, you go 4 deep when you play or when you hold to try and dig out your equipment that you want. This is kind of trying to feed into the Ornn signature cards to dig for the ones that you want. It also has some synergies with things like Nocturne, where you can play this and the other 5-drop one from Origins to just keep revealing it, or looking at the top X of cards of your library and just digging through it to get Nocturnes. So strong card. Let's assume that your deck has enough equipment to always be able to draw one off this. You're paying 5 for 5 and then 1 green to draw a selected equipment card out of the top, and I think that's completely fair, completely on rate, and it may become like really strong when more equipment come out, but the equipment that's there, like, I mean, the best ones that we're looking at are things like Spellsonger at the moment anyway, but which is more synergistic with the other Ornn, not this green one. So by playing this over the blue Ornn, yes, you can get to more equipment, but you're playing a worse champ unit to equip to. So it's kind of double-edged sword. So maybe the answer is to play some combination of both and leave it there. So I'm going to give this a B+. I think it's a strong card in isolation, and I think it can only get better with more sets and more equipment. Alt art of the same one, and then we're going to go to Spellsonger. Now, this one's an interesting card. So 3 and a power for equipment that doesn't give any might, but what it does is when it attaches, or as it's attached, it copies the text box of that unit to this, which essentially doubles the text box of the unit. There's a bit of discussion going around like how this works with other equipment, and I think the consensus is they're going to errata this so that it is only going to copy the unit's text box and not the text boxes of other equipment that are attached to it that add to that unit's text box, if that makes sense. So like it'll only copy what's in this box here and nothing else that's attached to it. So because of that, you want to be attaching this to things that have a really strong base text box, things like the blue Ornn, ones that have like cool conquer or hold effects and that kind of thing. There's a lot of potential of this card for combos and other really kind of blowout plays. I think the best thing at the moment is just blue Ornn for this, and potentially like purple Draven and that kind of thing to try and get extra value out of it. But there's nothing really broken just yet with Spellsonger. So as of right now, it's going to see play in Ornn for sure, in other archetypes maybe. So we'll give it a B as a filler card, and but this is a type of effect that will only go up in time as more units get printed with powerful text boxes. Right. So B for Spellsonger. Lastly, Tianna Crown Guard. 7. I'm already looking disgusted at that cost. 7 and 2 energy for a 4 might. Like, as soon as I see that, I'm like, this text box needs to win me the game. If I'm going to invest that much and get not much out of it. Deflect. While I'm at a battlefield, opponents can't score points. I don't think that's strong enough, to be fair. There's an argument to be made that this is going to be some sort of president strategy built around Tianna, and you just park her on a battlefield and then hold it as long as you can. I don't think Tianna by herself can do that. Like, you need something else at the battlefield with tank, for example, that can hold off an army. But having deflect 1 isn't great. Like, to play Tianna into base on 1 turn and then the next turn move her in and hold up a bunch of stuff, you're kind of sitting at 7 energy, and you'll need to hold up, you know, like Defy, not so fast, Wind Wall, some sort of counter spell, and then some pump spells to kind of make her big enough to survive just a full on attack. And because she's at 4, you know, a lot of the units in this new format, even in the playtesting that we've seen so far, you know, can easily get to, you know, 12, 14, 16 might, and so the might side of it isn't going to be there. Potentially she's got some application in Jax or something like that, where you can use the Counter-Strike Jax signature spell to prevent the combat damage going to her and save her that way. But you know, like, you can play around that a little bit. You can go in multiple combats, just send in a 4-might guy, send in a 4-might guy, send in a 4-might guy, and there's like, it's really difficult to kind of defend her. So like, I like the idea. I just think that for something like this, I want to be paying, you know, 5 or 6 and 1 power might make it playable, but 7 and 2 power is just, it's way too much. I'm calling rip off right now, and I'm going to say that she's not playable in the current format and put her in the C tier. Alright, that's it for the Calm cards. Hope you got something out of it. I'm sure I'm wrong with a lot of these, so if I am, let me know in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.